There exists in every human being the quiet whisper of greatness. This whisper is often drowned out by noise, the noise of opinion, the chatter of doubt, and the clamor of fear. But I submit to you, the whisper never disappears. It is the call to your destiny, the subtle voice within, echoing the truth that you were born for more than mere survival. You were born to create, to build, to conquer obstacles, and to rise by the sheer power of definite purpose. And yet you hesitate, you pause, you question your worth, you doubt your capability, not because the dream is too large, but because some unseen hand, invisible yet ever present, seems to be holding you. They are not always enemies in the traditional sense. Sometimes they are people close to you. Other times they are simply beliefs, traditions, or ideologies masquerading as wisdom. But what is consistent is that they have embedded themselves into your thought process, and from within that prison of influence you've made your home. Every man must come to terms with this truth. No one can hold you back without your permission. They may discourage, criticize, mock, or reject, but the power to yield to those forces lies within you. The moment you believe someone else has control over your life, your mind, your decisions, you have relinquished the very gift that makes you human, the power to choose. And it is choice that creates destiny. It is not fate, nor luck, nor external approval that shapes a man's future. It is the focused, determined, unrelenting application of thought into action. They are holding you because you haven't yet decided to break free. You are waiting for the world to approve, waiting for your environment to be perfect, waiting for someone to validate your vision. And I say this with urgency, that day will never come. If you are waiting for the applause before you act, you will never move. The applause comes after the victory, not before the battle. And the battle, my friend, is won first in the mind. You must understand deeply that the world makes room for the man who knows where he is going. Not the man who wishes, but the man who wills. Not the man who wants, but the man who decides. The ones who rise are not the ones with the fewest critics, or the greatest resources, or the most obvious talent. They are the ones who persist, who stare down every whisper of doubt, who walk forward through ridicule and resistance, who plant their feet in the soil of purpose and refuse to be moved by the winds of mediocrity. They are holding you because you have not yet declared with unwavering certainty, "This is my purpose, this is my path, and I will pursue it until it becomes real." There is a law that governs all growth, the law of cause and effect. Every thought you hold consistently, every belief you nurture, every action you take in harmony with your desire, these things create momentum. They form habits, and habits over time create circumstances. The man who masters his mind becomes the master of his life, and the one who surrenders his mind becomes a slave to his environment. They cannot hold you once you recognize the truth, and the truth is this: you are free. But freedom is not granted, it is claimed. You do not wait for permission to think, to build, to speak, to lead. You decide, and the universe aligns in response. If you move with clarity and conviction, you will notice that resistance begins to weaken. Not because it vanishes, but because it fears a man who will not stop. They are holding you in subtle ways, in the doubts planted in childhood, in the ridicule of early efforts, in the cynicism of those who gave up on their own dreams and now mock yours. But none of it is real unless you agree with it, and herein lies the greatest revelation of all. Your agreement is the only thing that gives power to your limitation. Break the agreement and the chains fall off. Refuse to accept their assessment of your worth. Reject their vision of your limits. Disengage from their narrative of who you are supposed to be. And you will find that their grip was never on your body, it was on your mind. You must build a fortress of belief so strong that nothing can shake it, not rejection, not delay, not even failure, especially failure, because failure is not the end, it is the evidence that you tried, that you moved, that you acted. And action, sustained over time, is the great equalizer. There are men of great intellect who have achieved nothing because they feared looking foolish, and there are men of average ability who have conquered empires because they simply refuse to quit. They are holding you because you are still asking for direction from people who have never been where you're going. You're asking blind men to validate your vision. You're giving influence to voices that have not earned the right to speak into your purpose. And as long as you continue to seek safety from those who live in fear, you will find yourself shrinking to fit their comfort. But greatness does not dwell in comfort. It dwells in the furnace of challenge, in the arena of uncertainty, in the battlefield of delayed reward. Every man must one day rise and say, enough, enough waiting, enough apologizing for wanting more, enough shrinking to avoid criticism, enough procrastinating under the illusion of preparation. If the desire burns in you, it is not by accident. Desire is the blueprint of destiny. You are being shown a vision not to admire it, but to build it. And yes, the building will cost you. It will cost you your comfort, your excuses, your past identity, and often the approval of people you once called friends. But what you gain in return is immeasurable: self-respect, fulfillment, impact, and legacy. They are holding you in words, words that have become beliefs, beliefs that have become your identity. You must question everything, every inherited limitation, every doubtful suggestion, every quiet agreement you've made with mediocrity. Ask yourself who told me I couldn't, and why did I believe them, and if they were wrong about that. What else have they been wrong about? Tear down every lie that does not align with the greatness within you. Replace it with truth, and repeat the truth until it takes root. You have within you the ability to think your way out of any circumstance. This is not philosophy, it is law. Thought, followed by belief, followed by action, followed by persistence. This sequence moves mountains. But you must move in faith before the mountain moves. You must take the first step before the path is revealed. You must decide before the world understands, and when you do, something shifts. The grip they had on you begins to weaken, because their control was based on your silence, your agreement, your hesitation. Do not wait for them to release you. Release yourself. Take your power back, not with defiance, but with decision. Decide to build, decide to rise, decide to keep moving no matter what. Let the storms come. Let the critics speak. Let the fear knock at your door, but do not yield. There is a version of you waiting to be born, a version that will not recognize the man you are today. He will look back and say, "Why did I wait so long?" Don't wait to become him. Start now. You were not born to live a life of quiet frustration. You were not placed on this earth to merely exist, to blend in, to die with dreams still buried inside you. You were made to shine not in arrogance, but in obedience to the call placed within you. That call is not random. It is your assignment, and until you honor it, you will feel the tension of untapped potential. You will feel the weight of knowing you are meant for more. They are holding you in tradition, in conformity, in invisible rules about what is realistic, what is acceptable, what is appropriate. But those rules were not written by visionaries. They were written by people who feared failure, by people who traded their passion for predictability. You must be bold enough to break the rules that keep you small, not to rebel, but to build something better, to model a life that shows others what's possible when you refuse to be held. The truth is simple. You don't need their permission. You never did. You don't need the timing to be perfect. You don't need all the answers up front. What you need is to decide with full conviction, with absolute clarity. And then you must act. Act when it's uncomfortable. Act when it's inconvenient. Act when no one believes in you. Because belief is not something you wait for, it's something you create. Let others hold their doubts. Let them hold their fears. Let them hold on to average if they choose to. But you must choose to rise. You must choose to walk a different path. And that path begins the moment you stop letting them hold you. You must understand this above all else. No one can hold you back without your conscious or unconscious permission. The external circumstances you see around you, the people who offer criticism, the systems you think are stacked against you, they only gain power over you when you agree with them. That agreement may not always be verbal, and it may not be intentional, but it lives in your thoughts, your doubts, your hesitation to act. If you believe that you are limited, then you are. If you accept the idea that you must wait for someone to grant you access to your future, then you will wait indefinitely. And if you think someone else is responsible for your success, your happiness, or your freedom, you've already handed them the keys to your life. Most people do not realize that the greatest prison ever built is not made of bars, but of thoughts. And most people don't even question the mental cell they live in, because they assume it is reality. But the moment a man awakens to the truth that his mind is the final authority, everything begins to change. You are not bound by what they say unless you believe it. You are not trapped by your past unless you remain mentally loyal to it. The power they have over you is not physical, it's psychological. It lives in the way you interpret rejection, the way you fear judgment, and the way you assume someone else must validate your vision before it's real. The harsh truth and the liberating truth is that you have allowed them to hold you, even if unknowingly. You may have absorbed their doubt, their limitations, their small expectations, and accepted them as your ceiling. But the ceiling is only real if you refuse to climb. Once you challenge the idea that they know your limits better than you do, the illusion starts to break. You begin to see that no matter how loud their voices may be, they cannot override the quiet decision you make in your own soul. Your agreement is the contract, rip it up, and their control is broken. You have the right to revoke that permission at any time. You can walk away from their expectations. You can silence their influence by building something greater within yourself. You are not a puppet unless you allow someone else to pull the strings, and once you choose to think for yourself, to act with clarity, to move in defiance of fear and in loyalty to purpose, you no longer live under their grip. You live free, not because they let go, but because you did. Every great transformation begins in the realm of thought. What a man continuously thinks about, he eventually comes to believe, and what he believes, whether he is aware of it or not, begins to shape the very conditions of his life. Thought is not mere imagination, it is creative force. It sets in motion unseen energies that attract, repel, and align. The consistent repetition of any idea, positive or negative, begins to take root in the subconscious mind, which then goes to work attracting circumstances that validate those beliefs. If you feed your mind with limitation, you will begin to notice only obstacles. If you dwell on possibility, your awareness will begin to draw opportunity. It is not magic, it is mental law. The outer world eventually reflects the inner world of conviction. The man who believes he can will find a way. The man who believes he cannot will not even try. Therefore, the most important task of your life is the discipline of thought to monitor, correct, and elevate the ideas you dwell upon, because your life can rise no higher than your dominant mindset. Many individuals delay action because they are waiting for a sign. They hope for confirmation from someone else, from their environment, from circumstances that say, now is the time. But the truth is that time will never feel perfect. Circumstances rarely align themselves without some form of resistance. And if you wait for certainty before you move, you will never move at all. The decision must come first. You must decide what you want. You must decide to go after it with everything in you. The decision is what sets everything else into motion. You do not gain confidence and then you act, and in the process, confidence is born. You do not see the full path before you take the first step. You take the first step, and the path reveals itself as you walk. This is the law of growth. It rewards the one who dares. You cannot think your way into mastery without action. You must move while afraid, speak while uncertain, build while unsure. The great secret is that every master was once a beginner, every expert was once unsure, and every legend once stood where you are now facing the decision to begin, even when the outcome was unknown. If you want to experience a life of uncommon fulfillment and achievement, you must be willing to give up the common comforts that keep you small. You cannot remain loyal to conformity and expect to live a life of originality. You cannot keep chasing the approval of those who fear change and expect to walk in purpose. Growth will require separation. Separation from old habits, from limiting relationships, from thought patterns that no longer serve you. The comfort zone is the enemy of destiny. It is where dreams go to sleep under the illusion of safety, but make no mistake, safety without growth is simply a slow death. The moment you begin to pursue your vision with intensity, you will face opposition. Some of it will come from within fear, doubt, procrastination, and some of it will come from those around you who cannot understand the fire that burns inside you. Do not shrink to make others comfortable. Do not compromise your calling to maintain harmony with those who have no vision. You must have the courage to walk away from anything that costs you your future. Let others cling to what is familiar. You were made to break ground, to set new standards, to become an example of what's possible when a person refuses to settle. And so, the responsibility falls where it has always belonged on you. Not on your background, not on the people around you, not on the conditions you were born into. The turning point of every man's life begins when he stops waiting for permission and starts moving in the authority of his own decision. You are not a victim of chance unless you choose to be. You are not bound by your past unless you chain yourself to it through belief and repetition. The moment you understand that every condition can be changed by the mastery of your own mind, you step into a power few dare to wield. You must cease to allow the influence of the world to outweigh the influence of your inner voice. You must stop looking to others for direction they were never qualified to give. Inside you is the seed of something extraordinary, but it will not grow without your will. It will not rise unless you raise it through intention, through clarity, through persistence. You must no longer be held by the opinions of those who gave up on their own potential. The world is full of them, let them be. But as for you, you must rise. The moment of decision is now. The power of thought is already within your reach. The question is, will you use it? Will you shape it? Will you apply it with relentless effort until the life you imagine becomes the life you live? Everything you need is already in your possession. The rest is up to you.